Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel, on my YouTube channel on Magic and the Occult, an esoteric subject, Full Moon Rising. Today I have another book review for you. I have a very important book to me, and one of the first books I actually ever got on the subject. Even though I had already been studying esotericism for a while, I wasn't able to afford any books, so this was one of the first ones I got, just because it looked interesting. When I picked up the book, I didn't have any idea who Damien Echols was or his story. It's just an amazingly interesting title. Hi Magick, A Guide to the Spiritual Practices That Saved My Life on Death Row. If you don't know who Damien Echols is, I highly recommend you look into him, as well as I just recommend you get this book, as we'll talk about in a moment. But he is famous for unfortunately being wrongfully imprisoned. He was a part of the West Memphis Three, allegedly, which, obviously he wasn't. And to my understanding, neither were the other two members of the West Memphis Three, an infamous murder case here in America in the 90s. And this unfortunately, this poor man spent 20 years on death row for no reason. And this book is, he wrote soon after, I don't know how soon after exactly, but soon after getting out of prison, and it's a great book. It's a fantastic book. It's good for beginners. It's good if you're not a beginner, just because it's interesting and definitely worth a read. But basically, it talks about how magic saved his life. It got him through 20 years of wrongful imprisonment and helped him get released. It protected him and things like this. And so this book is very, very much for beginners in a lot of ways, because it talks about more complicated subjects, such as, well, we'll get to them, and subjects that I didn't learn for a long time when I first started practicing magic, like the LBRP. I mean, a lot of people start with that, but I didn't. I didn't learn very much about Golden Dawn-esque stuff until I read this book, honestly. This was my first book that had anything like that in it. But it also starts in the beginning with an introduction and just like a talking about what magic is, what magic isn't, and what you can expect from it, and what is realistic about magic. And as such, it's a good book for people who don't believe in magic. It's very good for them to learn. But it also has a lot of useful things for people who have been practicing for a while. And even if you don't learn anything practical from the book, just hearing the amazing story of this man's life is absolutely worth the $15-20 it costs. So pick this book up. It's great. High magic is magic that often involves no tools. It doesn't have to involve no tools, but, magic that is developed on death row obviously has no tools. And so all the magic that is presented here is all stuff you can do with just your hands and your mind. And some time. It's very meditative. So basically he goes over what magic is, and then he talks about different meditative practices to help strengthen visualization, and then practices that are foundational to a lot of Western magicians who follow Golden Dawn methods, such as the Kabbalistic Cross, the Middle Pillar Ritual, and the LBRP. That's where I learned how to do all of these things myself, is from this book, and it's a good book. It's got some illustrations, which are really nice. I'm going to show you one here. There it is. This is for the Middle Pillar, which I think he shows before he shows the Kabbalistic Cross, which is a little different than most people, how most people do it. I know you really can't read. It's not a very good camera, but that's okay. That's basically the whole topics of the book, but it's just really well written, and he's a very entertaining author and person to listen to, and everything about his story is very... There's a lot of sad stuff about it, but he recovers really well, and it's great overall. And I think it's again, I keep saying it, but it's a great book, and you should pick it up. The cover that I showed you, that's what drew me to the book drew me to the book in the first place, is just a dust cover. It's a hard back book. It's a nice dust cover, but I wanted to show you the front of the book, because the front of the book is really nice too, especially for a book that's $15 or so. It is a Archangel seal with what looks like Theban script around it. I'm not honestly sure, though. It looks a little different. I'm not sure which Archangel this is, but I know that the illustration of this Archangel is shown somewhere in this book. So he basically very slowly talks about everything from invoking archangels, how to draw pentagrams in energy, different concepts about these practices, where they come from, the Golden Dawn, how he was able to use them, and how they helped him while he was in prison, how they can help you, all these different things. How to charge water, which is an interesting chapter or part that's actually I think I just saw it, actually. Yeah, right here, water. This part's very small, but it's a very... Oh, the dust cover just fell. But it's a very powerful practice that is honestly overlooked, and I think very useful, that comes from this book. Yeah, so this is a good book for everybody. I mean, it doesn't have... A lot of people, I would say, who have been practicing for a while would overlook this book if they haven't read it already. It's been out for a while, and a lot of people know about it now. But a lot of people would overlook this book because of its simplicity. But I think no matter how simple this book may appear and how beginner-friendly it may appear, there's always something you can learn from it. I mean, this man spent 20 years learning and studying this kind of stuff daily for survival. I mean, you can't get anything more intense and a more profound sense of, or more horrible but profound conditions for having to learn something. The man knows what he's talking about, And, this is a short review. It's, I just wanted to just throw this out here, that this is a great book, and if you don't own it, you absolutely should go buy it. Amazon, I think I got this off Amazon, but I know I saw it at a Barnes & Noble. You can just get this book around and give it a good read all the way through, and then be ready to come back to it, because there's a lot of stuff in here that you can learn. He's also got, I will talk about one more thing, he gives a very unique presentation of the LBRP. Unique to people who practice the LBRP, but honestly very similar to the calling elements that Iden Wachter does in 6 Ways, which is the other review I did. You should go check it out if you haven't, on this channel here. But where he... Basically, it's the LBRP where the angels are called from each of the 4 directions, right? But then he also calls angels from above and below to cause, or create rather, an impenetrable bubble of sorts for, an example, protection. The angels called would obviously be, he follows the Golden Dawn method, so Michael is in the south, Raphael in the east, Uriel in the north, and Gabriel in the west, Metatron above, and Sandalphon below. It's a very useful practice, and him and his guided LBRP meditation he has on YouTube, and just this book is what taught me a very foundational practice, and I highly recommend that you check him out and get this book. Alright, well, that being said, if you like this video, subscribe. If you want to see more, subscribe. Come join me on this channel. I will be doing more. I have every intention of reviewing just about every book I own, whether they're pretty or not, which this one is pretty. And I'm also going to be doing more stuff in the future, I'm going to do tarot reviews. I like to do reviews, but we can also do meditation stuff. Maybe I'll, make videos about how to practice magic in some ways. I'm not so sure about that yet, but we can definitely do reviews. And so, if you like this, subscribe, hit like, and stop by, come join me. Thank you. Buy this book. Have a good day.